Seven more contenders have punched their tickets to the Breeders' Cup in 2023. See who it is, see what else is going on in the Breeders' Cup world this week on Breeders' Cup Weekly.
Today's video is brought to you by Assiniboia Downs Gaming and Event Center. Be sure to tune into this channel live Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern for Monday Night Lights, hosted by Trust the Profits.
Welcome aboard, folks, to Breeders' Cup Weekly Episode 3, where we are catching up 7 new qualifiers this week. Let's just run through them real quick. We're going to make this quick this week because, number one, there's 3 more coming up at Woodbine this weekend. We'll get through those a little bit later. But let's check in with what happened here. First one up, Moy-Glare Stud Stakes, the Juvenile Fillies Turf Division. Fallen Angel made it through. Moss Tucker, the Irish horse out of the Turf Sprint Division, out of the El Basti Equa World Dubai Flying 5. Real quick, off the tongue with that name. Kentucky Turf Cup over there in Kentucky Downs. Get Smokin' took it home. That gets him into the Longines Turf Division. And the Turf Sprint Division, Gear Jockey. Another Kentucky Downs. That was the Ainsworth Turf Sprint Division. And the next slide here has Tahira, another Irish horse. Makes it through for the Filly and Mare Turf. That came out of the Leopardstown Coolmore Justify Mitrone Stakes. Also, at Leopardstown, the Royal Bahrain Irish Champion Stakes. August rode in another Irish horse. Actually, all 3 of these last horses are Irish. And as we saw from the Breeders' Cup last year, no surprises. Diego Velazquez, Juvenile Turf, took it home at Leopardstown in the KPMG Champions Stakes. So there you go. You're caught up now on the new qualifiers. Let's talk it through here. This is we'll go division by division. If you see the names in purple, they've already punched their ticket at some point in the past. If you see a name punched in blue like Fallen Angel there, they are new to this list this week. So that is the first horse to qualify through these When You're In contests for Juvenile Fillies Turf. That's Fallen Angel. Next up, coming this weekend, actually, the Woodbine. I mentioned Woodbine's got 3 of them. That's the only 3 When You're In races this weekend, all at Woodbine. So just keep your mind on that. Woodbine on Saturday, the 16th, I believe. That is a big day of racing at Woodbine. Juvenile Fillies, nothing yet. You're going to see the first action at Keeneland on 10-6 and 10-7. You'll see all 3 qualifiers out of that division. Next up, Juvenile Turf Division. I just mentioned Diego Velazquez punched his ticket. Next up this weekend, the Bet365 Summer Stakes at Woodbine. That is Saturday as well. That'll be the second horse to qualify through that group. The Juvenile Division, again, nobody's in yet. 10-7, Keeneland, that whole weekend, 10-7. Aqueduct, Keeneland, and Santa Anita. You'll see your horses punch the ticket. By the way, if I didn't mention it already, in the black there is last year's winner in each division, if you haven't figured that out yet. Forte, of course, the Juvenile champion. Caravel, the Turf Sprint champion last year, and he's the first one to punch his ticket this year as well. And you see Gear Jockey and Moss Tucker punch their tickets there. And one more to go on the 1st of October. In Paris, there'll be one more punch their ticket in that division. Next up, the Chosen Vron is the only qualifier so far in the Sprint division. Aqueduct 930 is the next scheduled event there. There is a race in the Mile division this weekend at Woodbine. The Woodbine Mile, which is probably the most... I don't know. It's wild. There's already a ton of entries, a lot of big names, a lot of horses looking to punch in. Modern Games, of course, won this race last year. This is a good one, folks. I mean, this is as you can see, there's not a single American horse in yet. And this is a chance for an American horse to maybe prove that they're worthy of this field. It's been a tough go for the U.S. in the turf games, the turf races the last few years. But let's see, maybe somebody will stand out, make a big move. And then there's 2 more after this weekend at the Woodbine Mile. There's 2 more at Keeneland and Ascot. But the Distaff division, no action, no updates there. And then the last 2, the turf division. There you see August rode in, and again, Get Smokin' were the latest 2 to jump in. A couple weeks off before they pick it back up at the Paris and Ascot tracks. Those are both in October, so we'll get some more updates on those. But congratulations to everybody who's made it in. And then you see the Breeders' Cup Classic division. We already have 7 punched in. No new news in that division this week. So the next one there is a couple weeks away at Santa Anita, the Awesome Again Stakes. And here's what's coming up this weekend as a recap. All three of them are at Woodbine. You got the Summer Stakes, which is, again, is the juvenile turf division. You got the Woodbine Mile, which is obviously the mile division. And you've got the Johnny Walker Natalma Stakes, which is juvenile fillies turf. So 3 more entries. We'll punch a ticket this weekend. Should be good fun. All at Woodbine, which is a great track. We cover Woodbine a lot on this channel. Good fun times. One of the bigger weekends of the year for them. So check them out for sure. And I hesitate a little bit to speak on it. I was going to add in some probables that were interesting watches to follow along and maybe see them make it into this group. But it's just too early to tell. There's no probables or possibles even listed yet on the sites that I look for information on this. So I don't want to even guess or speculate. And the same goes for that's the juvenile fillies Natalma. Summer Stakes, I mean, there's a couple big names that I'm pretty sure everybody's aware who to look for there. But again, I haven't confirmed anything. And the Woodbine Mile has way too many to mention, a lot of big names. Just make sure you check out this weekend at Woodbine because there are 3 on that card Saturday, the 16th. So that should be fun. Awesome stuff at Woodbine. We support them. They support us. So give them a shout out. Like I said, this week's going to be short because we really don't have a lot to cover as far as fields yet in any of the 3 Woodbine classes. But the good news is we're going to bring more videos with each of those 3 broken down. Hopefully some picks. We can develop some picks once we see some PPs and we have some, horses that have committed to these races that we know for sure. Otherwise, we're just talking nonsense. Doesn't make any sense to cover a race that we don't really know what it is yet. So, yeah, appreciate it. I'll bring it back. Episode 4 next week. We'll have results covered here, and then we'll talk about the following weeks to come where there is still several race days coming up for these Breeders' Cup possibles to become probables and starters. So let's keep it moving. Breeders' Cup, best time of year. Bada boom, bada bing. We'll see you next week. Peace and love on earth.